G'day and welcome to the Automotive Society Podcast. My name is Siraj, and today I'm joined by the wonderful Alexander.
Oh, what an intro. Thank you, my friend.
Intro.
Appreciate
this
that.
guy. Today, we have something special.
Well, actually, you can see us. That's number one. We're giving this a go.
Yeah, we've got video. You can actually see us, and we said we will do this, I think, episode 2 or 3, but it's now taken us 20 more episodes than that.
Do you know what's weird to this?
What?
This whole scenario is when you're on a podcast, you just relax, right? When there's no video. Like, you and I used to sit there like this and lay back, and now it's like...
You can't see the couch behind the camera, but we used to actually record on the couch and just chill out, lay back, and just relax on the couch while
we're moving
talking.
up in the world. I feel like we're taking steps.
Yeah, now we have a sense of professionalism. We have to be a little bit more professional. We can't just,
Have you met me? I'm 12 on the inside.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be really hard. That side of the room is going to be different to this side of the room.
Oh, yeah. All right, so tell me, because you wouldn't tell me the podcast topic.
Yeah,
or what you wanted to talk about today.
I didn't tell Alex the podcast topic because I didn't want him to prepare. I want you to be what you think and how you think. Okay,
yeah,
ready?
so for those of you who don't know, we actually take turns generally on coming up with ideas. And talking about what we want to talk about each podcast.
Yeah,
and we usually take it in turns.
Yeah.
This time, I've got no clue.
That's it. Oh, sorry, if I keep looking down, I'm actually looking at my phone to see if the cameras were in view. The camera's not bad. This is our first one.
We spent 20 minutes setting it up. Of course it's in view.
This is our first one with a camera. I'm just, paranoid. What if
What do you mean paranoid? It's on a tripod. It's not moving anywhere.
Well, I'd hope not, but, okay. All right, I'll continue. Not tell other people my anxieties. Also, posters. We got posters. We'll have more posters and shelves, hopefully, as time goes on, and we can, save up some money and do some work. But yeah,
and it's good. I mean, we put the RX-7 on the wall.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can see it's not moving, which is like every other RX-7.
Oh, yep. Okay.
All broken.
All right. Jeez.
What?
Wait, they look good.
Where's yours?
They look good.
Does yours have an engine in it?
No, but it looks good.
Is it moving?
Well, it moves when I push it.
Right. Okay. So it's representative of your car.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Hit me. What is this topic?
Our topic today is a lot of our listeners I know want to get into the car community, right?
Yeah.
Our topic for today will be how we got into the car community, why we got into the car community.
Interesting.
And what pushed us to stay in the car community, or for your instance, not stay in the car community.
I am in the... What do you mean I am in the car
You're not in the car community.
I mostly am.
When was the last time you went to a car meet?
I went to St. Ives Wednesday night car meet.
2017.
No. It was actually last year, hey.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was.
They didn't have one last year. It was COVID.
No, it was literally in November or something.
Not during COVID. They did not have one last year.
Yeah, November. I swear it was last year. I swear it was.
I'm going to call you out. Were you just in the area and you happened to park in the same car park that they have a meet at?
No, but I was
You didn't go there.
You know what? I was with another friend coming back from the city.
Yeah.
And we said we'll pop in. So we parked, right?
Okay.
We did a lap. Talked to somebody who offered me vapes, and I was like, right, okay, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because how the car community's got a bit weird, right? With some of the younger people. Yeah. And I was like, nah, I'm good. And we just kept walking, had a look at some cars, and 20 minutes later we left.
Okay. I don't know if I count that as a car meet.
Look, I passed through.
You were there.
I was there.
Did you talk to anyone?
Yeah, somebody offered me vapes.
Other than the vape story? Price. That's not really anything to do with
I
cars.
talked to a guy about his pod filtered, I think it was a Suzuki something. One of those old Suzuki Swift.
Sierras?
No. You know the old hatchback things? They're like
Starlet?
a Swift.
No, wait, Swift.
They're like a Swift, but old and
yeah.
nuggety.
I know. I hope you're talking about the 80s Swift.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
which was cool. A pile of crap.
They're awesome, dude. I love them. Absolutely love them. Okay.
But it was a rust bucket.
Any Swift owners out there, hate on that side of the room. This is going to be a thing.
No. Ain't no hate. You know what? I literally thought to myself the other day, I was driving home from the Inner West, and I saw a Suzuki Swift Sport, and I said, that would be a cool track car.
The new one?
No, the older one. The non-turbo 2-litre.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The one that you had.
I don't like that one. I like the newer one.
Why?
The new one with the turbo is pretty cool.
The old one?
And you can make some really sick turbo noises on the new one. And I kind of like that. That's pretty cool.
NA hatchbacks.
The other one is the really old one, like the 80s and the 90s ones, and they are really love.
Yeah.
I don't know if they came in the 90s. Was it in the 90s? I don't know. My Swift knowledge is not that great. I'm not a Suzuki.
You're not a Suzuki enthusiast, shall we say?
No, I'm not. I've only had one Swift. and that was me mums.
That was me mums.
That was me mums.
And it wasn't a sport.
It wasn't a sport. It was just a Povo pack base spec with Apple CarPlay though. So that was pretty cool. That was like,
wow.
Dude,
Apple
no,
CarPlay,
back in like
bro.
2016, Apple CarPlay was fairly new still.
So, everybody wanted it.
So it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I was a huge fan. Anywho, how we got into the car community, why we got into the car community, and what we found about the car community and what we don't and do like. I
don't like though.
I'm going to be honest about Alex. He is not in the car community anymore.
No, I am.
It's been a long time. I'm getting him back into it. I'm taking him to track days, and I'm going to take you to more meets.
I think I keep to myself quite a bit though in terms of my cars.
Yeah.
Like I have my circle, and that's a circle that I sort of talk to.
I think the car community you're talking about is like, I'm not going to say. Well, I'm kind of. I don't know. Actually,
go on.
You're more in the. I'm kind of giving away what you kind of do, what you don't do, but you're more in the real estate community than the car community. And within the real estate community, if you're walking around and you see someone and you go, "Oh man, that's cool, you drive a Mercedes," and they go, "Yeah, bro, I love this Mercedes. I'll take it to the track and this and that." That's what Alex goes. Car community. I'm part of the car community. Well, that's not the car community.
You know what's funny? Is you are slightly right. Yeah. But then I've got the other car community, which is like, I guess my close friends and like people I see and that sort of thing. And always like, but my car community, my circle's quite small, right? Like, there's like, understand. There's like you and a couple other mates, like, James.
Yeah.
And that's all I really focus with, or we go do things. That's it. It's just like,
James is really heavily into the car community.
I mean, he's got so many cars.
He's in the automotive business, really.
Yeah, I mean, me and him are the same. We don't generally like to go to too many car meets.
Yeah, I'm like that too now. I used to be the opposite. I used to go to every single car meet that ever came up, but now I'm I'm a little bit different. I don't even like taking my own cars to the car meet. What I do like about the car community is the side which goes to the track with me all the time.
Yeah. You're past the whole sit in a car park phase. You're into the track.
Now I'm into the track. So if you talk to me and you take your car to the track, then I'll sit down and I'll have a long conversation with you. Yeah. I'll go to the track with you and just rip some laps and have some fun.
Rip some laps.
Yeah, that's it. That's all it's about, right? Yeah. So we'll talk about that too, how I phased from one side of the car community to the other. But in the other way, I still work in automotive industry. I'd say you're
still in it.
I'm really deep in the automotive industry. I know a lot of people in the industry, including motorcycle people and like car people.
You've never really left though at any point necessarily.
No.
You've got to a point where you said, "No, I don't want to do much on my cars or whatever," but you never necessarily left it.
Yeah. Like right now, I'm sort of taking a break from my own cars because I've just got so much uni work and
you got a lot going on,
like work going. That I'm sort of like, I don't want to touch my cars for a little bit because I just don't have the time. But even though saying that, we're talking about cars now. This is my hobby, right? Like I do this podcast because I just want to chill out, have a chat, and you and I do that so often that I was like, you know what? Let's record the chats and let's get everyone's opinion on it, because in case we ever argue about a car or something, the internet now can say Siraj is right and Alex is wrong, so it's fine, it's good.
I didn't hear that right. You may have got that the wrong way around.
I don't think so.
But it's funny, right? Because even before we started this whole podcast scenario, how many? I was about to say conversations, wrong word. How many arguments do we get in?
Yeah.
Right? Where there is no answer to them. Yeah. We just argued for an hour.
It would always be like someone would send a message or something, and then Alex would just straight up call me and be like, "What did you just say?"
Yeah. That's it. That's what I used to say, because you were wrong.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But it works because we're on such different ends of like the spectrum in terms of like cars. And
now we are. We used to like the same cars though.
All right. Sorry for the interlude.
We're back.
Yep. It was...
the camera did die, like I said it would.
The camera was literally plugged into the wall and it still died.
It still died. So we plugged it into a different charger this time, and hopefully it won't die this time.
And so far it's been good.
Well, so far it's been 20 seconds. So.
Yeah. But you know what? So far it's a broad term.
It's okay.
It's a broad term.
Broad term. Do you know what you were talking about now?
No, but it was something to do with like when I first got into cars, and I think that's when I had an issue. So let's just track back to that. What got me into the car scene, I guess, was like growing up, playing a lot of racing games, and like as you do, right? When you first start, it's like Mario Kart and what's the other one? Lane Weaver or whatever. You know, where you turn left and right on the lanes and like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And that obviously developed to the more modern games like Forza 1, Forza 2. And then by that point, I was sort of ready to get my license. And I remember saying, like, I wanted something cool, but nothing too generic. And back when we started first getting cars, right, you would know this, right? $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 would get you S15, Skyline. Like, you had an abundance of choices.
We did, yeah.
And what did I get? I said no to a Skyline. No to everything else that was on the list, and I bought a 318i in 1990.
Well, also because it was like a third of the price,
and it was $1,800, and it's been in the same family since it was new, pretty much.
Yeah, it
was the grandmothers who got passed down to the daughters to learn, and then it got given to the brother, and then it got to me. Yeah. So, and it was $1,800, and it was a good deal, and it was actually pretty clean from what you remember.
Yeah, I do. It was,
and the amount of memories we had in that car, that was fun.
Yeah,
and it all started there, really, and it then turned into pod filters and all this stupid stuff, which did absolutely nothing to do with speed at all. But it was just the fun of working on it and having a cool car, right?
Well, yeah, we were 16 or 17.
Yeah, we were so young.
So, like, at that point, any car was a good car, right? I drove around literally an old shitbox Lexus. And even
it was not a Lexus.
It was a Lexus.
What was the badge on the car?
Vienta Grande.
No, what was the actual logo?
Doesn't matter.
It was a Toyota.
It's the same company, okay? It's a Lexus because it was a Lexus ES300 chassis with the Lexus ES300 engine and the Lexus ES300 interior. It was literally a Lexus.
When you go to a vegan restaurant, okay, and they say this is a beef burger, but it's not actually beef, what is it?
Well, that's different though.
It's not different. It's the same thing.
My car had the same stuff as the Lexus. We have
it doesn't matter how much it has, but it doesn't have a Lexus badge.
It's a Viento Grande.
It's not. It's a Toyota Camry.
It's a Viento Grande. Don't you dare call it a Camry. I will throw fists.
It was a Camry.
It was not. It was not a Camry. Anyway, moving on from my Lexus.
Put it this way: you can literally put dog crap inside a brown paper bag, okay? And you can say, here's a brown paper bag. But inside the brown paper bag, it's still dog crap. It doesn't make any difference. It's a Camry. It's
not dog crap.
I didn't say it was. I was just saying, I was using an analogy.
It was a great car.
His Camry.
It was a great car. Leather interior, sunroof, everything electric.
Okay, we get it. It's a Camry.
Electric seats, electric everything. Okay, it wasn't a Camry. It was special. Anyway, even though I didn't like the car, I had something to drive around in, and it was the freedom of having the car that I really enjoyed. Like, it was the idea behind the car. Like, it wasn't at that point I was like, ooh, I want to modify it. It was more the fact that, oh my God, I get to drive.
Yeah, I remember, because, like, I think you and I did a lot of, like, stupid, weird, like, road trips, right? Yeah. And I remember, like, one day, and this is when you had the Camry, and I had the Beamer, and you said yes to it being a Camry, so perfect. And we'd just say, like, look, I want to go get this, BMW door handle or something.
Yeah.
And we would get in one of our cars and drive to, an hour in traffic to Liverpool.
Yeah.
To some dodgy bloke in a back alley.
We did do that.
And overpay for this part.
Yep.
And drive it all the way back just to put 2 bolts into it and fit it into our car.
Yeah.
And that was a Sunday for us, or a Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was the joys of, like, all those, like, freedom and adventures that we got off cars. And obviously from the 318, it moved to the Liberty, and then it moved to, I can't even remember what. And then the other E30, right?
Yes.
And then the other E30 again.
Yes.
With the M50 and the SR. And then it moved from that to the Supra. And then from the Supra it moved to the Scirocco to the Beamer now. And, it's been through so many different life cycles and different styles of car. It's like a bug, right? We can't get rid of it.
Yeah. But yours was always a BMW. You just loved BMW.
And I still do. Like,
obviously you still have it.
I absolutely love the brand.
You love... Well, the 3 Series mainly, right? Because you like something light. Is that right?
I've always stuck in that sort of, like... I always track back to the original E30, right? And it was such a good car. Like, if that thing just had, like, an extra 60, 70 horsepower and it had slightly better suspension and brakes, that's a lot of work. I understand that. But, it would be one of the funnest cars, like a 1.1 ton car running around with 200 horsepower NA with a manual. It was brilliant. It was so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think... it's the fact that you stuck with BMW was the essence of sports car. Like, they didn't deviate away from the rear-wheel drive manual.
They've always stuck with it.
They've stuck with it, whereas other brands dropped it and chopped and changed a lot. Like Audi went to complete all-wheel drive and never got away from it. And Mercedes went back and forth, but not into sports cars. Like, Mercedes went away from sports cars. Unless you want to, spend $500,000 Australian.
I think the thing for me about why I've stayed in the car community for so long was literally BMW. And it's literally down to BMW.
Yeah.
Because the more that I think back to it is the more that I always said to myself, like, yeah, BMWs did not have the nicest interior. They did not have the most comfortable seats. They didn't have the best, comfortable suspension, all that sort of stuff. But when you got on, like, you drive it 5 days a week to work or whatever, and it was terrible, right?
Yeah.
The clutch was heavy and this was not good. And the turning circles were, remember the steering rack? It was like 3.5 turns lock to lock, and it was terrible.
Yeah.
But the minute you got out, like, on a Sunday or a Thursday night or whatever, when we used to go up to Old Pacific Highway, go for our, like, I guess, enjoyable drives, in that moment, you were like, I bought the right car.
Yeah. 100%. Like, it was hard to keep up with you in the corners.
It was so much fun. I loved that thing.
With most cars, because your car was just so light, so small, and just did everything you wanted it to. And you got used to it. It was, I think, the driver, the fact that you got used to it so much that you knew the limits of the car.
Yeah, all the time. It was great.
Which made it great choice to have. Whereas I'd never had that because I chopped and changed a lot.
Yeah, you did.
I had a lot of different cars. So my thing with car community was obviously I had the Lexus, and
Camry.
And then after the Lexus, I went into
Camry. Man, come on.
I went straight into
you were straight
Hondas. First Hondas. Like I had my Integra. Prelude was my first one. I had a Prelude VTIR. Then I had an Integra Type R DC2.
I can't get over the fact that to this day, you're still obsessed with Preludes.
Preludes are sick. I love Preludes. I don't know why, because I think it's the fact that it was like one of my first cars that I modified, and it wasn't even my one that I modified first. Actually, yeah, if I want to talk about car community, my first into car community was I was 14 or 13, and one of our family friends had a Prelude.
It all started from the Prelude.
It all started with the Prelude. Yeah, 100%. And he was like, I want to get some JDM fog lights on it. Like yellow fog lights on the bottom of the grill, on the front bar. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you're into cars. Would you come and help me install them? And I was like, no worries. So I'd go over as a 13-year-old, never worked on a car before, as such. And I would install these fog lights. It would take us probably like 8 hours, I think, to do it.
It's back in the days when we couldn't work out where everything went,
Crazy
it was
to think now, right? Like, that was just me going through YouTube a lot, going through... Like, Mighty Car Mods was brand new back then, right?
Yeah, it was fresh. I remember.
Like, Mighty Car Mods just had their first car. It was like their videos were just being released. So, they weren't really a source of knowledge at the time as much. So, it was just finding random people on YouTube and doing it. And I remember... we did the fog lights. Then we did, obviously, you did the big subwoofer, the big... the head unit. I installed that myself, and I really loved it. I used to install stereos for a lot of people after that, like, because I enjoyed it so much. I was like, yeah, come to me, $80, and I'll install your head unit for you. And that's how I used to make my money when I was 14 and 15. I didn't have any other job. And that paid for my tools, which then I used to work on more cars with different things like exhaust and stuff like that, basic stuff. But that was how I got into the car community. And then I went to car meets at JDM Yard in Smithfield with this Prelude, right?
Yeah.
And
I remember the days. Yeah,
they were awesome. Like, you would just see heaps of slammed Civics, like lots of money poured into these Integras, DC5s, DC2s.
That's when they were like commonplace, remember? Like everyone used to have those things.
Well, they were cool in the way that every time someone went, I want to modify a car, what do I get? It was just a clear-cut answer, get a Civic.
Everything was cheap, it was accessible, it was easy.
Yeah.
Like,
you could get a Civic for like $400 and you could get wheels for it for another $500 and off you go. Like, literally put some nice tires on it and strip it down and enjoy it. And JDM Yard was so big, their business was booming. All these meets that I used to go to were mainly Honda. And then I made the switch, and I was really, really into Skylines. I mean, who wasn't, right?
Yeah.
So I bought an R33 GTST.
And that was clean.
Yeah, little turbocharged.
It was clean.
R33 Skyline, which I absolutely loved. And then I went into the Nissan gang and then bought 300ZXs, Silvias, Skylines.
Yeah, you went around a lot.
I had every like every Skyline possible, non-turbo and turbo. Even got a 35 GTR for a month from work. I tried out every single Sylvia, all the way from 180S, like S12, 180SX, S13, S14, S15, Series 1, Series 2.
There was a period of 2 years-ish where you just like flew through cars.
Yeah.
Like you absolutely... like
and most of them were Nissans.
Yeah, and you didn't... like, yes, you loved them and you loved working on them, but you also drove them. But the minute you drove them, you were like, yeah, this was fun. Oh, okay, cool, there's another opportunity. And you moved on very quickly to the next. And it just kept going and going.
Also the fact that like that's when the market started picking up for cars. So every time I'd buy a car for real cheap, I'd get offered a sum of money for it.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks later, and it was like money I couldn't refuse. I was like,
you had to just sell it.
Are you telling me I'm making $4,000 in 2 weeks for doing absolutely nothing? Hell yeah, man. Take the car. Here's the key. I'll just buy another one for the same price I bought it for before. And that's how I did it. And my first $200 Integra or Prelude is what turned into my RX-7 today, basically. Yeah, like that was the same money. I just kept going up and up. And yeah, so Nissans, same thing. I went into every single car meet being like, oh my God, look at my cool Nissan Skyline. I love Skylines. Went to Skyline Cruises.
Hold on. What was the number plate on the Skyline? Why do I remember it being something funny?
Oh, it was Relax.
That's right, Relax.
I used to just say Relax a lot. It was just my catchphrase or something. Every time people would be like, well, I'll just be like, relax, bro. It's all good. Just relax. I used to say that so much
that was funny.
That I just got a number plate saying it, and it just annoyed everyone. Or I got made fun of because my number plate was Relax. Let's be honest, it was pretty dumb.
It was quite funny though.
It was funny, but it was dumb. But yeah, I still have that number plate today.
Yeah.
But then eventually from this Nissan gang, I settled on an S14 Series 2, a little turbocharged SR20 DET.
Oh yeah. And this thing was like immaculate.
That was immaculate. That I built from scratch and I absolutely loved. The number plate I got was Koki or Kuki.
Yeah.
Which means the later model in Japanese, and that's what it was. And that made me really go to car meets. Like that was like I wanted to show it off. I wanted to be like, this is what I built, and that was really good for my business in the way that a lot of people went, wow, that's sick. Like, can't believe you built that.
And
would you work on my car?
Just for the viewers there, like this thing was literally like, it had nothing. It was literally a rolling shell with, I think, was it like a subloom? Like that was pretty much it.
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
And like zilch, nothing else. Like paint was bad.
Yeah.
The wheels were like mismatch. Like it was all over the shop. Like barely any interior. It was literally just like a hunk of metal.
Yeah.
And you built it from literally that to a completely fitted out, really clean. I was going to say show. It's probably not quite a show car because it was fast. Like you drove that thing as well a lot.
Yeah.
But it was just such a clean example of the 14.
Yeah. That was one of the cars that I regret a lot selling because I didn't need to sell it. I went to a car meet called Fitted Festival 5, where my car was on show. Like it wasn't the main stage or anything because the main stage was $500,000 poured into these old cars, and I was like, oh my God, I could not compete with that. But I had it on show, and then the main stage also had RX-7s, a lot of them, and I just instantly I was like, oh my God, I'm getting my fulls in a few months. I need a new car for my fulls, and what better car than the RX-7 because I absolutely love it. My dream car at the time was an R32 GTR that I wanted, right?
Yeah.
And it was just that thing in my head where I was like, I've had Skylines. I've had all of them. I even had a 33 GTR. So I've had the GTR. I've done it before. I was like, I want to try something
new. And that's when the RX-7 came.
And I was like, when will I ever possibly experience a rotary, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the time. So
it made sense to you, I think, at the time.
2 weeks from that day of that car meet where I just frothed over all these RX-7s, I went and bought one, and my RX-7 was blown engine, great car, great chassis and everything, but the engine was too far gone, so I had to rebuild it all. But I got that done and got it driving, and that was a nice car.
And where is it now?
Yeah, that's fine. Moving on. Yeah, so that's how I got into the car community. Like, and it was just the fact that I would go to every single car meet ever. Like, if they ever popped up, people would be...
You were out every week,
people would message me straight away and be like, oh my God, your S14 needs to be at this car meet, or your Skyline needs to be at this car meet. You need to come out. And I was like, sweet.
And every weekend, you were pretty much out. You're saying, I'm going to Smithfield, Blacktown, Liverpool.
Yeah.
Like, it was always somewhere in Sydney.
Yeah.
And it was, like, I mean, that nothing was up our way, like, in terms of car meets, right? They were always a minimum 40-minute drive.
Yeah. We live like North Sydney area, so we didn't really have a car community in North Sydney. Or the only car community that we did have was like supercars.
Yeah.
Like Ferraris, McLarens were the big ones. And even then it wasn't huge because back then New South Wales didn't allow you to register cars that were too fast. Like if you had anything that wasn't even on the hint of hypercar side, like an Aventador, you couldn't. Yeah, you couldn't register issues. It. Yeah, you couldn't register it in New South Wales
because even they went through a long period where they said Koenigsegg's were not allowed.
No, Koenigsegg's were not allowed till very
for
recently.
ages, and then till very recently when I was literally just driving to, I can't remember, to a client's house or something.
Yeah, did you see the Gamera?
No, this was a CCX in Orange. Yeah, and the weirdest thing is, like, so we're going to give this away, but it doesn't matter. It was literally in Hornsby. Like,
whoa.
Yeah, like parked near the apartments. I was like, this is like odd. Like, you don't see this very often.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, so in our area, which is, as Alex said, Hornsby area, you didn't really have car meets, didn't really have anything to go to. Now we do. Now there's Dural, Benzin Cafe.
Yeah, I think that the community it's definitely still growing.
But what's happening is slowly shifting over from like Rouse Hill's getting a lot of car community, and Rouse Hill's like trickling down to Dural because Dural always had car collections, but they just never went out our way. And then from Dural, it's slowly like coming to the North Shore. I think
it's getting bigger, but I also think that with the people that are now joining the car community, I think there's a lot more young people with their, subwoofers and LED lights and all. I mean, I think that community is getting bigger again.
Is it? Yeah, because it died for a long time.
It died for a hell of a long time.
But that's back when people used to call it like the sex spec days.
Yeah, and I think it's slightly making a comeback at the moment.
Yeah,
probably not quite to the degree of backwards opening doors and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But it's definitely making a comeback in some ways.
I went to like JDM Yard, like car meets and stuff, that phase was just at the tail end. Yeah. Like I still got to see big 22-inch chromies or Simmons.
Yeah, on like a Mitsubishi Mirage with 17 screens.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And we still got that. Like our Motor X was full of them still at the time. So we still saw the sex spec days. We weren't there for the prime of it, but we were there for when people were like, this is not my style anymore. And they were moving on to cleaner builds. Nowadays, or I say nowadays, I'm going to say from 2017 to now, basically, the builds are very much OEM plus. So it's
I love that. I
always love that. Yeah, I absolutely love that style, which is just the car needs to be stock, but a little bit better, but don't change it to the point where you can't recognize the car.
Yeah. It's still the original. Yeah, sorry, I've got hay fever. Excuse me.
But back then it was like, if you had a car that was, I don't know, like that looked anywhere close to factory, you were not cool.
Like it had to be so far gone. Like it was like ridiculous.
I remember when we went to the car meets, I'd say we were pretty into cars at then. Yeah, but there was times where I'd look at a car that was a Toyota Sora or like something that was a little bit wacky, but not a Skyline or anything, and I'd be like, I don't know what that is because the body kit on it.
Yeah. It was that far changed, right?
The body kit on it is so different to what the car used to look like that you can't recognize it anymore. And then you'd talk to the owner and they'd be like, oh, no, it's a Sora. And you're like, oh, okay.
And it's funny, right? Like, so tracking back, I remember to like the Supra, right?
Yeah.
There was so many different kits, spoilers, body kits, like interior modifications. Like, man, Supras were going nuts. And you remember mine was like pretty standard.
Yeah.
Like, it was pretty stock, and I still absolutely loved that thing. It was such a good car to drive.
Yeah, I always was into OEM Plus, and I still am.
And it's funny because we always look back, right? We always have one memory, which was a couple of our mates had some really nice cars as well at the time. And whenever I'm sort of semi out of the car community. He's very in it. Or whenever you phase out a little bit because you get busy with work, I'm sort of in it. Or, we've never had there's 4 of us that used to always drive our cars around. And there was one point in time, and it wasn't very long. It was literally only for would you say
6 months?
I was going to even say less, but there was my Supra, a 300ZX, your S14, and our mate's S13, 4 of them all together when we used to go on drives.
Yep.
And I think after that, was it the S13 went off the road?
Yeah.
The 300 went off the road?
Yep.
I was okay. I think I sold mine a couple months later, and your S14 was sold.
Yeah, or my S14 went off the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did this thing with the S14 where I parked it in a garage, took the engine out and sold the engine and stuff and told everyone that I sold it. I had it for 2 years after I told everyone that I sold it.
Yeah.
Until the day the RX-7 was running and driving, I still had that S14. And then when the RX-7 was, I was driving it around and it was all good, the S14 was in the garage and I was like, now I'm going to get to the S14, I'm going to build it and I'm going to surprise everyone. It would be awesome. And then the ECU on the RX-7 died. And then I was like, oh, well, if I need to fix it, I may as well
to swap it over.
May as well go Haltech, may as well fix it all up. And then I was like, if I'm just going to have this nice car, I may as well just have this nice car and focus on it. If it's taking up so much of my time, because it took up a lot of my time for a whole year to build it. Because I wasn't into the rotor community, I didn't have the hookups for parts and stuff for rotaries. Everything took months to get.
Yeah.
Because it is so rare. Even now, I still can't find parts. Hence the reason why it's dead. It's not because...
It's so hard.
It's hard to get parts. I ordered intercooler and radiator kit in January from Japan, and I'm getting it in August.
And see, that's ETA. I think that's the thing, I guess I don't... Because I am now at a point, I guess, in my life where I don't want multiple cars. I just want the one.
Yeah. I'm the opposite.
Not to say that I don't want old... I don't really want very old things now. I'm happy with the last sort of 10 or 15 year car.
Yeah.
And I find that every part most of my cars that I have bought recently, these parts I can order from Germany or America.
Yeah.
2 weeks, bang, it's there.
Well, that's because you have a newer car, right?
Yeah, and I think everything fits. And I'm now at a point where these absorbent prices for, intercoolers from Japan and things they're ridiculous. It works for you because you've got 4 or 5 cars, right?
Yeah.
And you can slowly work on one while the other one's,
which is
working.
What I do. Yeah.
Whereas I don't have the luxury of that. And for me, I'm at a point where I probably enjoy driving more now than I ever have.
I think we always had that. I've said this multiple times, and you're the type of guy who drives a lot.
Yeah.
And doesn't like to work on their cars a lot. I'm the opposite. I like to work on my cars more than I like to drive my cars.
Yeah.
It seems weird, but when I modify a car, I feel like building it and putting my name on it is more rewarding. Of an adrenaline rush for me than it is driving it. When I'm driving it, I'm very much of a perfectionist in that way with my cars. When I'm driving it and I hear a noise and I'm like, oh.
No, this is not perfectionist. This is your slight OCD coming
Yeah, I feel like I have a slight OCD in that. I do in most of my things, right? Even this setup that you're seeing that I wanted to build.
How many times did we play with this setup?
Yeah, because I refuse to just put a camera in front of my face and go, let's just start it. I have to always be like, no, it has to be somewhat acceptable to me, and my standard is a little bit.
And this will get better with time.
Annoying.
We do have some plans.
Yeah, we do. But this is as how much I earn money wise. This is
raw basic. This is
more as acceptable as I can be. This is where my bar has to be. And then I would like it to get better and better.
And tune in for the next one because this will be changed a little bit, and you'll watch our how should I say this, growth in terms of our setup.
Yeah. And
we'll get a hell of a lot better.
I wonder how many keen-eyed viewers we had, how many people actually noticed.
Yeah, just message us if anything's changed.
That the table changed between the first half of the video.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is, I got into the car community because I obviously loved cars and I wanted to know more about cars. That was a big point. I wanted to go out and look at other people's cars and be like, not only just get inspiration, but also know what they did and how they saved up for what they did, knowledge-wise and money-wise, and what they did
to
the car that did it make it better? Did it make it worse? You know, that was the main point of car meets, was to realize that. But then,
and I think it was also to get inspiration for us as well, because I think we were, not to say lost, but
we were new.
Yeah, we were fresh, and I think we started to understand what the advantage of a manifold would do, or air intakes or exhaust work, and
no, 100%, I get that, but then, I felt a shift, and I think this is where you dropped out of the car community. The car community went from, hey, let's go to the car meet to appreciate other people's builds and be like, oh, I'll get inspiration from that. And did it make the car better, this mod or whatever? To just focusing on aesthetics.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, I get it. I remember this one dude I was having a conversation with. I'm not gonna say his name.
Yeah.
But
this is at a car meet, yeah?
This is you know this guy. One dude I had this conversation with, and I'm pretty sure he is the sole reason that I got out of the car community, because he just changed my mind so far.
Yeah.
So far out of what I thought it was. I'd been going to car meets for, I'd say 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. This is my 4th year in the car community. And I finally started going to the St. Ives car meets.
Okay.
Right? On Wednesdays. Normally you had young people go in, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's because it was North Shore and there was a bit more snobbiness or whatever.
Oh, gosh, I can't wait to hear this.
But there was this one dude, I was having he had an S14, Series 1. I had a Series 2.
Oh, yeah.
I'd take mine.
Yeah,
and he was
okay, I know.
Sick,
yeah.
I love it.
Okay, yeah.
And every time I would have a conversation, I'd say something like, oh, man, I just changed, I don't know, I changed my belt over to this, my drive belt over to this one, and I get a little bit more squeak. Do you normally use that drive belt? Do you use a different one? This was just me normal servicing my car. Or I'd say something like, I just put a bigger throttle body on my SR, and I noticed a little bit of difference in response. Can I have a go in your car and see what your response is like, so I can judge?
Yeah.
Or you just tell me how it is like, or you can drive my car. And every time I'd open my mouth, it would just go to him being like, yeah, but that's okay, but have you seen my side skirts?
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, that's cool, man. And he's like, no. Have you seen my side skirts?
Yeah, check this out, how I did it. I actually remember this now.
Yeah. And this guy would just always, jump his conversation straight back to, but my side skirts are custom made. And I'm like,
and then it had
okay.
You know what? And I think I remember this because it did have I think it was a spoiler or a diffuser or something.
I had a diffuser and it had blast pipes.
Yeah, and it had quite a rare diffuser. Fair, it's a rare diffuser.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear the end of his diffuser for ages.
But he was not the only one, right? He was the start of the beginning. Yeah, he was the beginning of the end of car meets for me, because he wasn't the only one doing that, right? The more he said it, the more other people went, oh, whoa, are you telling me that all I have to do is change my wheels and put on a loud exhaust, straight pipe my car?
It did have a period where it was like that. And for me,
that's all people cared about, was just if your car was straight piped, and the louder and more insane it was, or the more you could get away from cops, the better your car was. But I was very different. I was more mechanically, is your car better? No.
And it's funny because I think at this point I was already out. I was done.
You were done, yeah.
Because I just bought...
I shifted over because you were done. So I was trying to find the new group to hang out with for cars. And
but I think, was this the period where I may have just bought my Scirocco, I think? Or I was planning on buying a Scirocco or something?
Way before. This was before your YD30.
Oh, no. I do remember now.
This was your Liberty days.
This was the Liberty / Supra days, yeah.
And and then every single car meet I went to after that, I don't like to show off my car in that way. I like to show off my car in the way that I'm
built not bought, essentially.
Yeah, I like to
and coerce, have a conversation.
Yeah, I like to have a conversation. I think not show off. I can't find the right words. It's not show off. I like to have a conversation about things that I've done to my car and how it's helped, and maybe help the other person, or
receive information from them.
Receive information back from them, being like, oh, I'm glad you did that because I've been wanting to do that, or I've done this instead, and this is what I got out of it. That's the conversation I like to have at a car meet. yes, obviously aesthetics count, right?
Yeah. They do a little bit
and go, damn, that's really nice, like whatever. But it got to the point where if I had a bird poop on my spoiler, people wouldn't look past it. They would just be like, I'd be like, yeah, it's an RX-7, it's done this and that, like, you know, it's mile ported and this and that, and they'd be like, but there's a bird poop on your spoiler, and I'm like, yeah, that's okay. How dare you treat this car with such disrespect? If I had a car like that, I think I would clean it all the time.
It's interesting because you and I think my car community when I first started was the E30 gang, right? And the E30 gang are there are some interesting characters within the gang.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But there are also some really, really nice enthusiast people. And shout out to Hunter, which you probably won't watch this anyways, but he was this guy who lived out, you know, in the middle of like a farm. Yeah. And he was the sort of guy you could stand there and just have a conversation about anything for days. He was like literally one of the nicest people you'd ever meet, right? In terms of cars. And I don't know how many E30s he had in his front yard, like
30
E30s, old 5 Series. Like these are the things just like whenever he's building a car, he goes, takes a part off, puts it on this car that he's working on.
Yeah.
You know, he's so intuitive. Like remember the amount of tools he used to just make?
Yeah. See, he was the perfect example of someone I love, like in the car community, because we would talk for hours and hours about random stuff he came up with, random tools he came up with, and why he would think that like a certain BMW part doesn't need to be bought from BMW.
Yeah, and as much as like, I guess I definitely didn't go to as many car meets as you did, but I guess my sort of meets were like these people with Hunter, and I had another friend who just had E30s galore. There's another guy with a very clean E30 vert, and he's now got an M3, and those are the sort of people that I surrounded myself with, and that's the group that kept me into cars, actually.
Yeah.
But as that group started to dissipate and they've moved to, you know, a couple of them have 1 Series now, a couple of them have M3s, a couple of them have Jeeps and old Mercedes G-Wagons, and I guess that collector sort of level.
Yeah.
I've moved on to my own group of people who now we just modify and drive cars, and obviously now the track, like we're back into the track.
And Now we've aligned again, basically.
You
and I do the same thing. We do mods to take our cars to the track and just have fun and set some times. But that's one of the reasons why I took the RX-7 off the road was the car community, was the fact that I would take it to a car meet and some girl or dude with a, you know, bone stock Silvia, like S14 or S15, would just be like, yeah, but I'm superior because I have a Silvia and I don't need to take care of it. It's shiny because it's clean and it's got.
It's funny because people here might start saying like, you know, oh, but you went to the wrong car meet. But the thing is,
that was majority of
we went to like Castle Hill, Blacktown, Liverpool, you know, Rouse Hill, up in Central Coast. Like we've been to so many different ones, and there was that phase where it just turned for the worse.
Yeah, it was just toxic. I don't know. The car community was toxic. It wasn't about appreciating another build. It was about how you could make your build seem cooler than the other builds, right? It was not about, oh, I really love what you've done with your car. Good job. It's more of a, yeah, I know you've got that, but my car's cooler because my car has this.
I think it's good now because most of the people who we surround ourselves with and cars, they're not mod crazy. Like they're not absolutely, you know, changing engines and all the rest of it. But they have certainly got to a point. Well, not you, but you know, like most of the people we go to the track with are, I'm not going to say perfectionists, but you know, instead of putting a massive Canon exhaust on it, they are now putting a full bushings kit. They're putting new control arms.
Now they look at something that improves their car, right?
That's it.
Now it's about functionality, not form, which is what I always wanted.
Yeah.
That was more aligned with what I believe.
And it's the same with me. And it's funny because I think, am I right in saying, for the first time ever, probably within our car community life, this is probably the first time you and I have been on like the same page of where we're at.
That's true, yeah.
And going to track days and going down, and we'll be at Wakefield on the what's the date?
25th of June.
There you go, 25th of June.
Yeah. If you want to go to Wakefield, let us know.
Message us at
if you join the Macquarie
Instagram.
University Automotive Society page as well. They're hosting the event.
Message us at Instagram as well. We'll send you out an invite. It's at the Automotive Society _
That's it.
I always forget that.
And I know we touched on this very briefly, but I don't think you understand how big of a deal this is for us. We've put a lot of effort into it. We've got video, and this should be up on YouTube as well, hopefully at the same time as it is up on Spotify and Google Podcasts and all that.
Yep.
I just have to find the time to edit this, but you don't know. If you're listening to us, it's already on YouTube. So go and check us out, the Automotive Society, hopefully. I will have to double check that. But we do have the domain, the Automotive Society, and if we're on YouTube, then that's where we will be.
Yep.
Which is awesome. Put some faces to our names.
Yeah, and there will be. I think there'll also be there is also going to be some more content coming up of us at track days and seeing some of the cars that we do run with at tracks.
YouTube opens up a huge for us. Like we can show you what our cars actually look like, not just on still photos, but on... I
think we'll never forget where we came from. Podcast is where we started.
100%. The podcast
and it will always be our bread and butter, but it opens up a world of avenues for us and different opportunities, I guess, and seeing so many different other people now. So there'll be a lot more to see in the coming months.
And I'd like to also end our car community chat with how you should be able to get into car communities now. I think car communities change a lot now after COVID. A lot of people have built their cars properly and they care about their cars, not just aesthetically. It's because I think the aesthetics part was the fact that not a lot of people had money, and the little bit of money that they'd pour into it, they would go into making their car look cool, and then getting attention for it, wanting attention for it, and that was it. Yep. But during COVID, no one got attention to their cars at all because you couldn't go anywhere. There was no car meets, there was nothing. So now it's back to form or function over form.
Yeah.
And it's back to now,
agreed.
Look how much better my car is than it used to be. And that's what I agree with. And I think the car community is better than ever. Like today is the best time to join the car community.
100%.
Go to your local car meets. Go to...
I must admit, it's probably not great for the bank account at the moment because everything is quite expensive. However, I think there are so many good... I'm not going to say deals.
You don't need to spend money to get into it.
Yeah, but I'm not going to say deals either, but I think there's a lot of good quality cars at the moment because from when I've been looking, all of these cars have low Ks.
Yeah,
or,
but how we got into the car community, we didn't actually own a cool car at the time. Just go to your local Cars and Coffee and talk to some people, and that will also tell you what kind of cars you like, what kind of cars you don't like, what cars are worth the money. If you're going to spend 55k on an S15 when you can buy a brand new 370Z for 55k, try and just balance
it out.
Balance it out. You know, like think about it before you go and spend all your money on one car. See it at a car meet, maybe experience it if the owner's really nice.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you if you like it or not. Local Cars and Coffee. We have a car cafe nearby, which we go to every Sunday morning. And
that's Pie in the Sky.
Benzin.
Or I do Pie in the Sky, but there's two options.
Pie in the Sky, is more motorbikes as well. But if you're into motorbikes, any scenic road.
We're waiting for a sponsorship from one of you two, so hit us up.
I wish. Please hit us up.
Yeah.
And
if anybody knows the owner of Benzin, tell him.
Yeah, tell him. Yeah. Tell him to sponsor us.
Yeah.
And we'll rep your merch every day.
No, we won't. I won't.
Wow.
Not every podcast.
Wow.
You got to have a bit of a balance.
What's the point of... Wow. Don't sponsor him. Sponsor me. And just get out there. I think the best way to get into the car community is just to not be scared. I do this a lot. You're in your Woolies car park, your Coles car park. You see a really cool car, like I saw a 300ZX and I've made a really good mate out of it. I just walked up to him. It was the middle of the night. He thought I was going to rob him and I obviously didn't. And
that happened to us another time, by the way.
Yeah, it's another MX-5 in the middle of the night. We saw someone at a petrol pump that was closed and we parked up and started walking over. Scared the absolute crap out of him, but we got a really good mate out of it.
We still talk. It's so funny.
We met someone and we were like, your car's really cool, man. I just want to come over and say you have a really nice car. And just do that. People will appreciate it. No one will ever turn you down. And if they do, they're not worth being mates with.
And it opens up a whole avenue.
I appreciate it a lot. If I'm ever driving my Evo or anything around, unfortunately, no one ever says this to me, but I wish they did. If they came up to me and said that you have a really nice car, I would really appreciate it and I'll have a massive conversation with them.
Just remember, your Evo has been chopped by an Alfa Romeo diesel.
That did happen. I don't know if we said this on the podcast, but some dude on the road who was really into cars and really into Evos was like, let me race you in his station wagon Alfa Romeo diesel turbo.
It was a 159 diesel.
5-cylinder diesel. And he chopped me. Absolutely.
That thing was so fast.
The amount of torque that little diesel had. He does have one more cylinder than me, so, you know. Hey.
It makes all the difference.
It was unfair. It was unfair. Yeah. 4-cylinder, it's a different story, I tell you. But yeah, follow us on socials. Definitely check us out on YouTube, and we'll see you next time.
Yep.
Thank you, and
thanks for...
So yeah, we can wave to you now.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for watching and listening. Yeah. And till the next one.
Yes, till the very next one.
And this will get better. Watch this space, by the way.
Don't just watch this space.
No, well, there's going to be more space, but
yeah, there's going to be hopefully. Yeah, we'll get better.
We went too complicated on that. We should have just left it at that.
Should have just bye.
See you later.